Welcome to our latest Railfan road trip. This is episode 6. We headed to Fulton, Kentucky. So you can see Fulton's about a 3-hour drive from Nashville. A few different ways to get there. The different sites that we saw were the Amtrak station in red circled, the Fulton Yard circled in blue, and where we actually railfanned, which was in South Fulton, Tennessee, in yellow. On this first train up, pay close attention to the second unit, 2431, which is a C40-8. Pretty unique, first one of these I've seen. It's got a front deck as if it's a freight locomotive, but also has the side door as if it's a passenger locomotive. So as this first manifest train continues by, headed down to the south to Memphis, talk a little bit about the trip. As we got over to Fulton, we saw a couple of trains headed from the south to the north. One was rolling through the yard as we first came into town, and then as we got down to the spot that we wanted to railfan out, another one was going north. And so, first impression was that this was going to be a pretty busy spot. Seeing a couple trains the first 5 minutes in town. It'd be about another 4 hours before we saw another train, and that was this one here. And right behind this one will come another one south. Heard a lot of radio chatter for probably an hour and a half before this one appeared, of it working the yard, dropping off about 20 cars, and making some moves around the yard. Also a lot of yard communication. There were several locomotives that you'll see a little bit later in the video strewn out throughout the yard, and they were having trouble finding clear tracks through the yard. So they asked the utility man to run around the yard and get all those together and put them on a single track. Again, it was interesting to see this. Nice to see some Canadian National trackage. We're actually railfanning at the South Oaks checkpoint off South Pierce Road. They just recently added some additional trackage here, so it's a double track until just to the south of this intersection, and really nice signal bridges, nice equipment around. It looks like almost everything's relatively new, and lots of area for you to pull off and park and be completely out of everybody's way. So was kind of neat. Did have a law enforcement officer stop and not pull in, but just stop from the road and talk to us for a minute. Kind of laughed at about how long we'd been sitting there. He'd passed by a couple times and asked if we wanted to take a free portrait of him, since there weren't any trains to photograph. So that was kind of fun. No issues whatsoever anywhere in the area. And so all in all, pretty good day. Saw some interesting things, but it was quite a bit slower than what we'd hoped and anticipated for. And so just a few minutes behind that first train we saw came a second train down the tracks that had all hoppers on it. So not sure if this is grain or if these are hopper cars being used for something else. But it's a full train of hopper cars. One thing kind of interesting that we noticed, and I don't know if this is a general practice. I don't think it is for Canadian Nationals. I've seen lots of other pictures and video. But it was interesting to us. The two trains that we did see both had two locomotives up front and not a DPU anywhere in the train. So kind of cut us short a little bit on the number of locomotives we got to see. But both these trains were relatively short. Not a terrible amount of terrain that they'd have to go on between this area and Memphis. So I'm sure that's part of the reason why. Fulton, for your understanding and knowledge, The two Canadian National, I guess, main lines from the north, the Centralia line and the line down from Metropolis, Illinois, they converge right at Fulton and then come south of town together. And so, we knew that it wasn't a very, very busy rail line, but we're hopeful to see more than what we did. Does turn out that we evidently picked the wrong day to go. From a weather perspective, we got it right. Sun all day long, bit chilly, but beautiful weather as far as sun, clouds, rain. We had a wonderful time with the sun. But the next day, as we're editing this and we're at home, have seen on Facebook that one of the Canadian National Heritage units has come back through Fulton. Actually appears that this one's its third trip through Fulton. And so a lot of people on Facebook have been talking about that and managed to capture it there at Fulton. So probably, I'd say we got it right from the weather perspective, but it would have been nice to see that Heritage unit. And here we are doing a drive down the driveway of the Fulton Yard. Probably could be some argument back and forth about whether or not we're trespassing here. We never left the truck. There were no trespassing signs in the driveway. Just simply drove down to the office, did a turnaround in the parking lot and drove right back out. Did pause for a second to get a couple snapshots of a couple of these locomotives, and that's the reason we pulled in. First up here we've got the first one of interest is the Grand Trunk and Western locomotive there, 5814. Certainly, in its original paint scheme. The second one that was of major interest to us is this Kansas City Southern unit sitting here, 5014. And so this was our first sight of a Kansas City Southern locomotive. It's something we've really been wanting to see. Clearly, we're not going to knock it off our list until we see one in motion, but still, nonetheless, pretty cool to actually be able to see one. And then from there, we traveled to the Fulton, Kentucky Amtrak station. So that sign there is the first thing a train passenger would see as they get off. And then here's the station. Honestly, if I were getting off at Fulton, Kentucky, I think I'd get back on the train. And that's no knock on the people of Fulton or anyone in the area, but Amtrak really needs to put some money or something into this station. Now, surely the trains arrive in the middle of the night and probably not a lot of people are getting on and off here. But this has got to be one of the most rundown Amtrak stations in America, and really a shame that they've let it get to that condition. So would certainly encourage, if anybody from Amtrak were to ever see this video, to pay a little bit more attention to your station there in Fulton, Kentucky. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure that if you liked it, give us a thumbs up down below and like the video. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already. I've noticed that about 70% of my views are coming from non-subscribers, and we're getting close to 100. Would really like to get there. I've got a really special video planned for you guys. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you get a chance, check out the new website over at rustyboxcar.com. You'll find links to all of my channels as well as my son's channels. He goes by the handle Salty Hopper on Instagram and Flickr. And my daughter's channel, she goes by Railway Roses on Instagram. And then you can check out some other information we've got on there for you as well. Again, thanks for watching. Hope you have a good day.